Right now, there's a lot of maps on the ladder I don't care for. This is one of them, but there's so many I can't ban them all. So I go to Zerg versus Zerg. I play a lot of really standard Zerg versus Zergs with just a pull first or a hatch first, and then you play either Lingbane aggro or then you transfer to roaches, and occasionally the game goes other ways than that, but those are the most common ones. So I decided I don't want to play that kind of game. I want to play something different. So I go up here. There are two gold bases on this map. They are here and here. So I just take a gold base first with, well, I actually get the gas in the pool, but then I also take this gold base. Actually, I might work up here a little bit early, but I want to make sure that it doesn't get spotted by the overlord that my opponent will be sending across the map. Although, I guess they just send their one out here to watch for incoming stuff. But it's relatively common that the first overlord will go to your opponent's natural in all matchups for Zerg. This is a pretty normal place to put a second or third overlord in this matchup, though, to see what's going on right outside your base, to watch the Lingbane aggro wars when that is what happens. I don't have this well timed out because I did this just spur of the moment, you know, by feel sort of thing. So there's definitely times I fail in execution in this game. This is one of them. I sit here a long time. Did I make that a hex off too? I'm going to have to go back and look at where this hatch is supposed to go on this map. I feel like that's too far away. I might be not even getting the benefit of the gold minerals because they're walking further. Okay, so my box is this big. Further drones there. Ooh, yeah. I think my hatchery is actually one off there. I didn't even realize that during the game. Anyway, so I'm going to try to get the gold base to outproduce my opponent in the early game, and hopefully use that to end the game. This lets me transition into making roaches from the space that's maybe a little bit closer to walk distance. The big advantage to making roaches from this space at the top right is that then you don't have to walk them through this super narrow choke and this super narrow choke in the middle of the map to get to your opponent's base. Because these are one roach wide, so it makes them all just stream in single file, and that's really not what you want. So I did get some Zerglings in. I saw what my opponent's doing. Looks like a normal build where they made a gas and a pool and a hatch and are quickly getting a Baneling nest because they expect it to go into Ling Banelings. But I'm trying to actually get some workers up to this gold base. I thought since I had seen no overlord for my opponent with any of my overlords out there that I might be safe to transfer these drones. I really should have double checked with some sort of unit out here first, but it turns out to be okay. I'm just waiting to actually amass some Zerglings here and make a couple Banelings. My opponent here again thinks we're on the Zergling Baneling plan, and yeah, basically that would be correct for the moment. So we're making a few Banelings, making Evolution Chamber. I think they end up getting +1 armor with it. So I make some Banelings too with this. I will send them up first to try to counteract at least some of my opponent's Banelings. And then I did start a Roach Warren, because again, I'm going to produce Zerglings from this hatchery and roaches from this hatchery to have them all meet up over here. So my Banelings did get up there and detonate some of theirs. I get in and see more of what's going on. Okay, there's a Roach Warren here for my opponent too. I got really lucky on that disengage. They could have taken out 6 or 8 Zerglings that have manually detonated that Baneling. So I back up going, well, I need some more of my army here for this, really. So my opponent's also making roaches. But I want to have my gold base kick in. Unfortunately, I don't do a very good job of actually making enough workers here, because even with the gold base, you can't be down 12 workers like that. If it was like 5 or 6 workers down, I'm probably still ahead there. But 12 workers, I'm pretty sure my opponent's advantage there. But I know my plan is to go attack them, so I tried to do that. So, oh, there's some banelings. I'll have my roaches go clear them, hopefully. I certainly don't want them connecting on all my zerglings, and so my roaches do a pretty good job of it. I managed to split up a lot of my zerglings and get into their workers here. I don't do the best job of clicking the individual workers, but I actually get a lot of their... I get their queen here, clean up all the roaches. Ideally, I would have also come back here and got these other workers. Instead, my zerglings spent all this time fighting this one roach. And I get up here and also kill basically no workers. So... after that, I'm down still 7 workers. So I was getting closer, but my opponent had an advantage for a while there. I don't do a good job of target firing down individual drones right here. So that's my opponent clean that up without me doing as much damage as I should. And this roach really should not be here. But I've kept making stuff during this time. Maybe now is when it would have been good for me to throw down another expansion. I was certain that I was going to take this other gold as my 3rd expansion once I was sure that this wasn't scouted. You know, I can see that I have the resources to do it now. Maybe I should have done it now. I have my opponent scared at home. I have this small group of units that probably should really stand on this side of the destructible debris that's over here. I'm trying to just posture up in my opponent's face and look like it's a scary thing going on out here. So my opponent already did get +1 attack, actually, for the roaches, because that lets them take fewer attacks to beat the zerglings. I believe it also changes the math on the roach on roach as well. So they're definitely better than mine at this point. But I'm still just trying to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. But if you look at our worker supply here, I'm still down that 8 workers. So I'm not maybe taking as much advantage of my gold base as I could be. I keep rallying things pretty far forward here because I do want to make sure that my opponent is not getting a 3rd base here or here. Because the longer that they don't have a 3rd base, the better that is for me. Although they are now getting their +1 carrier pace. They're going to be 2 upgrades ahead of me when that finishes. I don't even have an evolution chamber. I don't have a layer that they're half done with. So I'm trying to just brute force it with my hatchery tech stuff. I get some good baneling connects up here, but that still only puts us to even on workers. I also don't retreat this army far enough. I stand it right here in front of their base. And I should really back it up another screen or so, probably like over to about here someplace. So I can't get caught as easily, since I'm not going to have roach speed. And they will, once the layer's done, presumably make roach speed. I see I've spent all the resources here, but never actually made a 3rd base during any of that. Still don't even really have full saturation at the gold, which, if you're going to take the gold, you really do need to do that, because I could just have a normal base and be mining this and have a few more drones. Be less dangerously spread out if my opponent does attack. I finally start making some Ravagers, thinking I want to mess with my opponent's positioning during the battle here. But I don't quite wait for a big enough army before I start moving, I think is the problem here. My opponent's now getting +2/+1. I still don't believe I have an evolution chamber. Correct, I don't. So I go up here to engage. I go, oh, that's a lot of roaches. I know he's got at least one. I know my opponent has at least 1 upgrade. I see he's researching another. I didn't actually click on roach during the fight, so they actually have 2 upgrades. But I go, okay, I'll disengage. I back up. I should have kept backing up to probably here. Standing here is very dangerous with my non-roach speed having units that are also down multiple upgrades. So my opponent's just massing things here. I'm finally getting to the point that I'm saturated here, but that should have been minutes ago. This has also been a couple workers short of being all the way saturated for a couple minutes now. And over time, that would translate into me being able to make more fighting units, have another base up, and maybe even get a couple upgrades like my opponent's been doing. See, my opponent starts moving out here while I'm in my middle of my macro cycle and clears this army for basically free. There was a couple roaches, but it's not a large number of them. Does my opponent still not have roach speed? Okay. The all 10-minute no roach speed when everyone's making a roaches game. So now my opponent's going to be up 3 upgrades on me. Did I start roach speed before my opponent? Did my opponent never make that this game? Okay. Guess if you're defending, why do you need to, right? So I did also make a Hydralisk Den during this, thinking I'll get the extra damage output. But I need enough roaches to be able to tank for that too. Especially if I'm going to be down a bunch of upgrades. I do think, oh, maybe my opponent will get Burrow, and eventually, once I get my lair, make an Overseer and put it with my army. I have these queens all just kind of chilling over here. I saw that my opponent was trying to take this third base, so I knocked these rocks down so they can't just flank me here and come around and take out the base. And I did finally just now start that other gold base I've been saying for like 6 minutes I should have taken already. This game would look far, far different if I had done that much sooner. So I engage here. This is probably a bad engage. I probably should have backed up here and forced my opponent to come through the choke point that's up here. But at this point I'm down 3 upgrades and about to be down 4 upgrades. And you just can't win a fight like that without overwhelmingly superior numbers. I sent in these Zerglings just because they were faster and I was out of gas at the time. But Zerglings are so bad at this stage of the game against pure Roach. They're a wasted larva. They should have been something else. They should have either been workers or more roaches or something. Like if I'm out of gas, make more workers, take this gold base, actually get enough of an economy that I can actually make a big army and crush my opponent. I think that's the attack that lost me the game, because now I have the 59 supply to the 115 of my opponent. And you see they've pulled now 16 workers ahead as well. So if I had made 10 workers instead of all those Zerglings, and they're mining gold, then I could make maybe a big enough army to be okay, or start getting upgrades or something. But none of that seems like it was part of the plan here. So I'm getting various unit speed and range upgrades, but I never have actually gotten a single attack or defense upgrade. My opponent's already on 2-2. So this is just going to completely crush whatever I send. Unless I have just crazy, overwhelming superior numbers, which I'm not going to because I've been down an economy, even though I took the gold base first, because I didn't have a thought-out enough plan to this later stage of the game. So I did okay at the first aggro bit. I could have done better at getting their workers, but ultimately I had to get a third base sooner. Doesn't even matter if it was this one or my regular or natural, just any third base sooner than I did. It's what I would have needed. So this game goes on for another minute or something, and I've already lost it, so it just doesn't matter. Here's the attack where I finally go, oh, okay, I am so overwhelmed. I do try to set up this flank with these Banelings to have them go all the way around down here and come get behind my opponent's army, but I engaged too soon here, so it doesn't end up working. Also, I think they just have too good of an army for it to matter anyway. I don't have Baneling speeds, they're taking a long time. Which is another thing I did not factor in here when I engage. I'm also engaging through the choke. I don't know, see my opponent does it, come engage me, which is what screws up that timing I was going to wait. But this is what finally does it, and that's the end of the game.